Welcome to the show, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about discipline. Discipline is the one skill, habit, trait, lifestyle choice, whatever you want to call it, that can be applied to anything across the board in your entire life. It is the one transferable skill that can be applied to anything, regardless of what you're trying to do in life. So today I'm going to be talking about discipline, as I said. Now, discipline is actually quite simple to develop. It is simple. That does not mean that it is easy. I recognize that discipline for many people is something that is very difficult to put in place in their life. So I'm going to give you the two things that if you can apply these to your life, you will develop discipline. You cannot not develop discipline if you're able to apply these two things to your life. They are not hard concepts, but they are things that require consistency. Consistency is a superpower. The overwhelming majority of people that you've ever heard of in your life that has been hyper successful, the one thing that they had was consistency. As you will hear me often say, I often talk about time, effort, consistency, and a willingness to suffer. These are going to be the things that allow you to reach greatness, consistency being one of them. The number one thing that you're going to need to apply to yourself if you want to develop discipline is going to be the highest levels of self-accountability. I mean the highest levels. You have to become a master at self-accountability. For whatever reason, everybody develops this ability to hold everyone else to these high levels of accountability. So when somebody else does something wrong, bad, whatever, they're late for work, oh, they're lazy, they can't organize themselves, whatever the case may be. But as soon as the situation is applied to you, you have circumstances that were beyond your control. You have to take the highest level of accountability. I call it radical responsibility. Now, I've heard it called many other things. This is just the term that I came up with it when I recognized what it was, which was many years ago now. And at the time that I came to understand it for myself, I had not come across it in any of my readings, any of my studies, or anything like that. Not saying that I was the first person to create it. I'm just saying that I did come across this thought process on my own, but since I came across it, I have heard it many times. I think Extreme Accountability is even a book. So, radical responsibility. You have to just take everything upon yourself. It doesn't matter what it is, it's your fault. It doesn't matter how bad you did of a job. It doesn't matter how close you were to actually accomplishing your goal. It doesn't matter what took place to stop you from making the thing happen that you were supposed to do. I'm going to give you some very simple ones that most people are not capable of. Never in my life, not one time in my life can I ever recall hitting the snooze button. I don't do that. I've also never just turned off the alarm and went back to sleep, rolled over. I have never ever done that. Now there was one time in my entire life. Now my alarm clock was across the room, so I had to get up out of bed and walk across the room to turn it off. I still do not use my phone. My phones do not charge in my bedroom with me. My phones stay in my office and I sleep in my room. So I have an old analog clock. So my alarm clock is across the room. Now I got up and I remember, to this day, I still remember this vividly. I got up, I walked across the room, I turned it off. The next thing I remember was me waking up. I had been working myself to the bone. I had been staying up. I'd only been averaging a couple hours of sleep a night. And for whatever reason, the moment I turned off the alarm, my brain also shut off. And I guess my body took myself back to bed because I do not recall any of that. Now, that's an extreme circumstance. That is an extreme circumstance. I do not remember going back to bed. The last thing I remember is turning off the alarm. And the next thing I knew, I was waking up and I was back in bed. Now, that being said, I wasn't late. I woke up like 30 minutes later, or I woke up a little while later, whatever it was. I always get up way before whatever time is necessary for me to start really getting ready. So when I woke up, I still had plenty of time. For me, it felt a little bit rushed because I'm usually so early for everything. My point is, I got up late and it was my fault. Now, did I get up and did I turn off the alarm? Yes, I did. Did my body decide that wasn't enough sleep and shut me right back down and take me right back to bed? Yes, apparently my mind and my body did that because I didn't do it on purpose. I did not choose at any point, like consciously choose to do it. Something took place inside my brain, inside my body, where it was like, nope, you need to take your ass back to bed. So that being said, I could easily say, well, I got up and I turned it off. I don't know what happened. But that's not what I would say. It was my fault. I haven't been going to sleep. I haven't been getting enough sleep at night. I wasn't prioritizing my sleep. Other things were more important to me that I was prioritizing, so I wasn't getting enough sleep. So in this instance, I ended up failing myself and not getting up early. Now, because I always get up so early in comparison to the time that I actually need to get up, I was still okay. But that's not the point. The point is I take radical responsibility. Regardless of how it transpired, regardless of what happened, it's my fault. It doesn't matter what it is. If somebody else hits you, if somebody else rams into you when you're driving down the street, you could have left 5 minutes earlier. You could have left 5 minutes later. You could have taken a different road. You could have paid more attention. It doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter how much it truly was not inside your quote unquote control. There are ways that you could have controlled it, and you want to take the responsibility for that. Now, I know for some of you, that is just a puzzling thought process. That is like, well, that isn't my fault. Somebody else did this and somebody else did that. And this isn't my fault and that's not my fault. This is the thing. If you take radical responsibility, if you say that everything is your fault, there is a magic key that comes along with everything being your fault. That magic key is that you are capable of doing something about it. If it's your fault, you can control it. If it's your fault, you can do something about it. If it's your fault, you now have the key to find a solution to those problems. When things are not your fault, you do not have that ability because it was outside your control. If you take radical responsibility, regardless of what it is, you now have the ability to find a solution for those problems. Plain and simple. I like the way that this is said. I think it hits home pretty well. But they say that winners concentrate on the things that they can make happen. Losers concentrate on the things that happen to them. So it's very simple. You have to separate your mind from one over into the other. Stop thinking that you are a victim of circumstance. Stop thinking that you are a victim of whatever the thing is. If you are not taking full responsibility, then you're not putting yourself in a position to where you can become a winner. Stop hitting the fucking snooze button. Stop just saying you're gonna get up at a certain time and not doing it. Stop saying that you're gonna get these things done and then not do them. You have to stop all of those things. Hold yourself to the highest level of accountability. Become a master at self-accountability. Do not worry about what other people are doing. That is wasted energy. So many people want to point out like, oh, well, he's doing this and she's not doing that and I'm doing better than them. And they're not doing it because of this. It doesn't matter. That is all wasted energy. I am surrounded by people that it is crazy to me how often that they're worried about other people. This is insane to me. Somebody didn't have a situation that went, and this is just recently, somebody didn't have a situation that didn't go their way. As soon as it didn't go the way, they're looking for assistance and they rightly deserve the assistance that they're looking for. I want to make sure that I make that clear. This person is looking for assistance that should be coming towards them. But when it wasn't offered to them immediately, and they are still in the pursuit of it, but when it wasn't offered immediately, this person went immediately into, oh, well, they're giving all these immigrants all this money. That doesn't matter. Don't focus on what they're doing for other people. You're just giving that thing more energy. Focus on what you can do for yourself. Focus on getting that energy onto your problem. All your energy into finding a solution to your problem. And that's how that works. If you take radical responsibility, you can focus all of your energy into the things that are holding you back, causing you distress, whatever it is. Wherever you're failing in life, you can now find the solution. So that is number one to building discipline. It's very simple. You just hold yourself to extremely high levels of accountability. Do not offer yourself excuses. Do not offer yourself a way out. Do not give yourself a back door. Do not do any of those things. Hold yourself to the highest level of accountability. If you can do that, you will be on the right path to developing discipline. The second one is self-deprivation. Now this one I think is actually probably, I don't know which one's harder. I think maybe it's probably a 50-50 depending on who you are. But self-accountability, high levels of self-accountability seems to be very hard for many people. And self-deprivation seems to be very hard for many people. The number one thing that I would encourage you to do is start fasting. The overwhelming majority of people blow my mind. So my longest fast is 12 days. I fasted for 12 days plus 5 minutes. The only reason the 5 minutes, and I ever even mentioned the plus 5 minutes, is because in that 5 minutes, I had a very serious conversation with myself. So don't get me wrong. I didn't come out of nowhere and fast for 12 days. I had been fasting for years up until that point. Now, 12 days was my longest fast, but I had done a ton of 3-day fast, 5-day fast, 7-day fast, 10-day fast. I had done a bunch of fasts. The reason why it's 12 days plus 5 minutes is when I hit 12 days, when the time struck, I had a very serious conversation with myself. And I needed to know, could I, if I so chose, starve myself to death? Now, I know that sounds extreme. To most people, they wouldn't, that thought process is something that they don't even, will never enter their minds. And they can't understand why it would enter somebody else's. And I understand. If it's not for you, if that thought process isn't for you, I get it. But for me, I just needed to know, could I do it if I so chose? So I had a very real conversation with myself. Because my thought process was I was not going to end that fast until I knew for sure. Now, when I used to do my fast, this is the thing. I didn't hide from food. We sat down every day at the table for 3 meals a day, and I did not eat. Everybody else ate while I sat there and enjoyed everyone else's company. So I didn't hide from food. I was right there. I was with it the whole entire time. When I had that 5-minute conversation with myself, I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't like just saying, yeah, you could, so that I could eat, you know. Now, this is the thing. And I truly believe, I know for a fact in my heart and in my mind that at that time, especially if I wanted to starve myself to death, I definitely could have. Now, that was my last long-term fast. I felt at that time that I quote unquote conquered fasting. That's just the easiest way to make it other people understand it. That's not how I truly think about it per se, maybe a little bit. But my point is it's something that I knew that I could take to its ultimate end if I so chose. Now, I still enjoy fasting. I enjoy like 18 to 20 hour fasts a day. That's my preference. Now, the reason why I suggest fasting is, especially here in America, especially for most of the people that are going to be watching YouTube, you've never really experienced hunger in your life. Most people that consistently tell me how hungry they are every day, their version of hungry is they're not full. I'm not full, therefore I'm hungry. And even then, they'll be like, well, I ate all this, and I was still just so hungry, so I had to. How could you have ate all of that and still been so hungry? That is physiologically impossible. So what most people don't understand is that in your stomach, there are no sensors that tell you, oh, we're low on food. That doesn't happen. Hunger is based off two things. One, habit and conditioning. You've been conditioned to think that you need to eat as often as you do, and it has become a habit. So you believe that you need to eat as much as you do. Doesn't matter how fucking fat you are, you will still think that you need to eat more. Doesn't matter how fucking full you actually are. Doesn't matter how much food you've actually eaten, you will convince yourself, I'm still so hungry though. Shut the fuck up. Most of you have never experienced hunger. You've never experienced hunger. So much to the point is of oftentimes here in America, because we've never really, many of us, I definitely have, and I know plenty of people that have, but many people have never really truly experienced hunger, so they mistake actually being thirsty with being hungry. A lot of times when you think that you're hungry, if you just drank a really big glass of water, I bet you it would go away. Because you don't know how to distinguish the difference between the two because you've never experienced both of them. You don't have any idea what either one is. The only reason you've really experienced thirst is because you'll drink soda, Pepsi, energy drinks, and beer all damn day, but won't drink a glass of water. So there's no sensors in your stomach that tell you you're hungry. When you've eaten all day and you're stuffed and you feel like you still need to eat a Snickers bar or an ice cream candy of some kind, you're not hungry. What happens is most hunger is based off of conditioning and habit, and the other one is off of a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is a hormone that makes you think that you're hungry. Now, it was advantageous for this hormone to be in us as we were evolving, especially as we were, nomadic hunter-gatherer tribes. Now, my point of this is, if you've never really experienced hunger, if you don't ever know what it's actually like to to deprive yourself of things that you think are important, you'll never have the ability to learn about the things that are truly important. And you'll never have the ability to develop serious levels of discipline. So you'll have a lot of the greatest athletes on this planet. They will all tell you that it wasn't that, man, I don't remember his name, but one of the guys that just won the Super Bowl, he even said that he thought becoming the champion was gonna be this ultimately fulfilling thing, and it turned out not to be. The excitement of being a champion only lasted 2 days. What he learned from becoming the highest level of champion in that sport is that it was actually the hunt. It was actually the endless days of doing the hard work. That was what he truly enjoyed. And that was what made everything worth it. It actually wasn't even the ring. The ring and achieving the Super Bowl championship, not that he is not going to do everything he can to win 15 more if he has the ability, because I'm sure he will, but that was only the high and the high level of excitement that came from it only lasted 2 days. That was it. After that, it was back to, well, let's get back to the grind. If you don't know what it's like, so I digressed a little bit. My apologies. My point is that most athletes will tell you that it is in the late nights. This is not just athletes. This is very successful people in almost all endeavors. It's the late nights, early mornings, the hungry nights, the hungry days, the hard work. Those are the things that end up being the things that they appreciate on the road to accomplishing the things that they accomplish. If you don't know what it's like to work hard, if you don't know what it's like to deprive yourself of the things that you think that are important, then you're never going to be able to reach these higher levels of success. It's just not going to happen. You need to be able to deprive yourself of things regularly and often. I choose fasting as one thing that you should immediately start, because fasting seems to be something that most people think is impossible. Now, I want you to recognize that there are people in other countries that will go a very long time without eating any food. Yet your fat ass who eats all damn day, every single day, will think that you can't go 13 minutes without eating. If you went an entire day without eating, you would die. You are probably fat and you think that you will die. Even if you're not fat, I'm 10% body fat. I will still survive for a long time without food. I will survive. You will all survive. You will definitely survive one damn day. But I would encourage you, this is how I started. And I started from the feast fast thing that I think was popular for a little while. But I would eat everything that I wanted. And then that turned out I didn't even like doing it. Turned out, I just went back to my normal eating game plan after a few short weeks of doing this. But you eat everything that you want, let's say Friday night or Friday during the day. Friday night, you stop eating, and then you don't eat again until Sunday morning. So you make it a 36-hour fast. A 36-hour fast is not hard. That is not a hard fast. You just eat Saturday night, don't eat again until Sunday morning. Not difficult, I promise you. If you get past that and you're able to do that for like some months at a time, then you can start going for a 3-day fast, 5-day fast, 7-day fast, and as far as you want to take it. I've known people, I believe Kevin Gates said that his longest fast was for 42 days. My longest fast was only for 12 days, but I don't know if he was doing the fast where you only fast during the day, similar to Ramadan. Their fasting is you don't drink or eat during the day, but as soon as the sun goes down, you're able to eat and drink again. So I don't know what kind of fasting he did, but mine was 12 days. That was the longest fast that I did. The ability to deprive yourself of things that you think that are important, man, offers a level of clarity into yourself and into life that I cannot give you the insights that you will gain over time from doing this. I cannot. And every single person that I know of that started fasting on a serious level like I was, because I did influence quite a few people that were around me to start doing the same thing. And every single one of them, not one person has ever come to me and said that a negative experience came from, well, maybe not a negative experience, but that negative insights or that it was a waste of time or any of those things came from fasting. Every single one of them agree that it was one of the greatest things that they did. One guy told me, I swear, and he's in my life again now. We just recently linked back up, but he was like, meeting you was either the worst thing that ever happened to me or the best thing that ever happened to me, depending on your perspective. Because I was encouraging him to move past anything that he had ever done before in his life. So he was now suffering more than he had ever suffered in his life. But it was also the best thing that ever happened. That extra suffering was one of the best things that ever happened to him. If you can apply the highest levels of self-accountability, become a master of self-accountability, and if you can start depriving yourself, self-deprivation, from things that you think are important. After a time, once I completed the 12-day fast, I went to a separate thing where I was still doing the 36-hour fast once a week. And I started keeping myself awake during that time. So I was not only fasting for 36 hours, I was staying up for 36 hours. It was difficult. Then I came to a point where I was staying up for 36 hours, fasting for 36 hours, running 5 miles, coming back, showering, taking a nap, getting up, and then eating. This was fucking brutal, I'm not gonna lie. And even during my 12-day fast and all the other long-term fasts, I was still working out, still running, still doing abs. I was still doing everything that I was supposed to be doing. I did not take it easy on myself during my fast. Once you learn about fasting and you'll know, as long as you don't spike your insulin, your body will feed on its own fat and you will be fine. If you decide to eat one piece of candy thinking, oh, well, it's just one piece of candy, you will spike your insulin, you will immediately have a very bad time fasting. You cannot eat anything. The only thing that I would suggest, this is a hack that I did not know for years and I wish I had known it from the beginning. If you start getting a headache, eat some salt. That's it. Eat some salt, give it a few minutes, that motherfucker will go away. So, highest levels of accountability, self-deprivation. If you can learn to apply these two things to yourself, you'll notice that both of these are to yourself. Find things that you can deprive yourself of and find ways to make everything your responsibility. And you will reach discipline. That is a guaranteed path to discipline. Once you have discipline, the only thing that you need to learn, the only thing that you need to add to that is learning to do things like you like it, whether you do or you do not. If you can apply discipline and zeal to anything that you're doing, man, you are guaranteed to succeed at it. That's all I want to give today. I wish you all the best of luck.